So hi, I'm Jamie from Grays, and I've got Helen Richardson-Walsh here today, Olympic legend of Great Britain and England. Hi Helen.
Morning Jamie, you're right.
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
Good.
So we've had a pretty crazy year. How have you been?
Yeah, I've been, I think like the majority of people out there, have been a little bit up and down. Some things have been a little bit more challenging, but also actually grateful for a little bit of extra time with bringing in our new baby daughter into the world just over a year ago now. So we've been able to spend a fair bit of amount of time together as a family, which has actually been really lovely at such a kind of special time when she's been so young. It's been a little bit challenging in terms of obviously the kind of work that I did all stopped, so that was a bit tricky with events just being cancelled and kind of the speaking work and then eventually the hockey coaching work also kind of not being able to do that. So yeah, it's been challenging, but then there's also been some really lovely things that have come out of it as well. So trying to remain positive and can kind of see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel now, and kind of grabbing a hold of that, as I think we all are a little bit.
Yeah, I know from some friends and sort of family that sort of had young children during this time. There's one advantage that you obviously, as a family, you get to spend a lot of time together, but the wider family obviously don't get to see them, and that's probably difficult when your parents and brothers and sisters can't see your sort of new child.
Yeah, I think we were really lucky because Pfeiffer was born New Year's Eve, and so we had the kind of January, February, the beginning of March to see family, and the majority of our family, grandparents all saw met Pfeiffer. So we had that early stage, and I think I would be devastated if we had Pfeiffer actually in lockdown and we weren't able to, our parents weren't able to meet her. That would have been really quite sad. So I really feel for those people that are having to do that, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's been a tough time. So how have you found it in general, sort of motherhood compared to sort of?
It's been very different. But in general, really loving it. I think that I personally had some struggles at the start with physical kind of infections and stuff like that. But once got over that, and I just can't believe how fast she's growing. I know every parent, I think, says this, and everyone said it to us. Oh, just really savor these moments because they grow up so fast, and it is true. It is true. She's walking now, and she's babbling away, and she's having little conversations that make no sense, but they're hilarious to listen to. And I've been really enjoying a new challenge, and you're spending time with her and getting to know her, and it has really been a joy, really. I think we've lucked out a little bit because she's slept very well.
That's always a bonus, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. If they sleep, it's good. So she naps well and she sleeps well at night. So yeah, we've done well with that.
Great, sounds good. I saw during the first lockdown, you watched back the Olympic final from Rio. Was it the first lockdown?
Yes. A few of us. There was myself, Kate, Holly, Sam was hosting it, and Maddie as well. And we did it for the BBC. And it was, I've not watched anything back from the Olympics, and we kind of watched it there together. And it was just the final, and it was quite interesting because my perception of the game. A lot of people were saying about how we were under the cosh, and we were lucky to win and all this stuff, and I remember thinking, well, yeah, we're playing the Dutch, they're a very good team, the best team in the world at the time, and they're gonna have a lot of possession. We always know that going into those games. And so after the game I was like, I thought we soaked up the pressure well, and but then watching it back, yes, they did have a lot of the ball and a lot of possession, a lot of chances. But as I say, that is what it's like to play the Dutch, and it's dealing with that kind of constant barrage. That's part of it a little bit, and you know, we kind of went into that knowing that that was the case, and we managed to, you know, soak it up and get our chances when they came. But it was nice being able to watch it with a few of the team as well. That was nice to be able to kind of just relive it with them as well. I think it would be great if we could have the whole team watching it. That would be something that would be really cool, I think.
Yeah, that would be good. No, it was emotional just for myself just watching it back, because it was such a moment. So I can't imagine how it was for you lot watching it back together. That must have been amazing.
Yeah, no, it was. I think because with the way that we were doing it, I wasn't really watching it properly. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't really kind of getting into it emotionally.
Yeah.
And I think, if I let myself do that at one point in the future, that would it could end up getting a little bit messy, a little bit emotional.
Yeah, no, I bet. Yeah, so you had probably the formula for that final from the Euros, I would imagine, because what was it, sort of 3-3? You came back a couple of goals behind in the European final, so
2-2 in the Euros. Yeah, we were 2-0 down. Yeah, I think that definitely, without doubt, helped us in the Olympic final, particularly because of how we won that game in the Euros. We knew we could beat them because we'd done it in a final, and we knew that we could come back if we needed to as well. So both of those elements from that game massively helped, and the fact that we won on a shootout. You know, it was almost kind of written in the stars in that regard. It was a really useful kind of bit of practice before the big one of the Olympics. And again, that was another great game. And that time being at home as well, which was really nice.
Yeah, I mean, going into a shootout, I imagine a lot of people, it's sort of, in theory, it's very 50-50, but imagine if you're confident in your takers, and obviously with Maddie between the sticks, does that really sort of give you that confidence going into it?
Yep, 100%. I think we've been involved in many shootouts over the years, more so penalty strokes than the running penalties. That's obviously changed a bit more recently, but regardless, it's the same thing in that how you prepare for those moments is obviously massively key, but also just when that moment is going to happen. So as soon as the final whistle goes, how you as a whole team, the coaches, the coaching staff as well included, how you react and behave in that moment is massive for yourself, but also how you project onto the other team. So I remember, Commonwealth Games in 2006 in Melbourne. It was a bronze medal match against New Zealand, and it went to penalties. And our goalkeeper, Carolyn Reid at the time, she, as soon as the final whistle went, she was like, she threw her helmet off and she was buzzing. She was like, yeah, come on. And just like, nobody expected her to do that. And we were like, yeah, like she's confident. And to have that confidence from your goalkeeper, who's going to be a major factor in this shootout, is huge. And just that element of showing your confidence, how you stand, how you talk, is honestly, it is absolutely massive. And the fact that we've beaten them, as we've already said, in the Euros, played a massive part in, I think, our mentality and also their mentality. And the fact that we had Maddie in goal, and just a little bit of those kind of antics that she was looking at her bottle or her notebook where she had the notes, and just, all of us were really, really prepared. And that makes it really does make a huge difference.
Yeah, I think a few sort of goalkeepers in other sports have sort of taken that tip from Maddie with the sort of cheat notes since then.
Yeah, I've noticed it with a few football goalkeepers have got kind of notes on their bottles, haven't they, and stuff like that. Yeah, and that was a different kind of element that she used. For a goalkeeper, it's really different, isn't it? You're kind of stood in the goal by yourself for a long time in games. And so being able to have little things on your water bottle if you need it to remind yourself to do whatever you need to do. I think, these are all like kind of mental skills, ways that you're able to bring mental skills into your game. And, however you do it, it doesn't matter, as you've got to find the right way for you.
Yeah, I mean the shuttles have opened up so many more sort of elements and so many more things you need to think of, both as an attacker and as the keeper, I'd imagine. So it's not just which way are they going to go with the shot, what's their tell and stuff. You've got to work it out. Sort of, are they going to shoot early? Are they going to take it round me? Are they going to go reverse? Are they going to go like strong? There's a lot to think about, isn't there? And
yeah, there is. It is a little bit cat and mouse, and it's definitely brought the goalkeepers into the game in that regard, and that's why it is a lot more exciting because you can miss as easy as you can score in that situation. And sometimes when you're watching the shootouts, everyone will score and it will go 5-5, 6-6. So, do you know what I mean? And then other times, a little bit like the Olympic final, lots of us missed, but that's just kind of how it goes. Sometimes on the day, and that's why your ability as individuals and then as a collective kind of five that are taking them to just stay calm. Like if someone misses, it's fine, because the chances are that one of them will miss, and particularly for us with Maddie in goal, that was quite high. So we trained ourselves to stay calm, to always believe that we will get another go if we need it, and yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, even you talk about Maddie in goal for GB, but Netherlands had Joyce Sombrook, and she was a very, very good goalkeeper as well. So obviously you still had to sort of beat a very good goalkeeper. So that's top.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So recently it's been announced that you're going to be working with Spurs Women, and obviously you're well known as a Spurs fan. So how does it feel to be working for Spurs?
Yeah, it feels really good, actually. A little bit surreal as well because of my connection with Spurs, and I've been to some of the games. Kind of as my role as the patron of the proud Lily Whites, and Kate and I actually went and did a talk with Spurs Women a couple of years ago, and I trained with them as well. So there's kind of that connection that I've had for a fair while, and to now be working with them is fantastic. And just personally for myself, as a newly qualified psychologist, having transitioned out of playing hockey for the whole of my life, that has been my life, and I didn't really have a huge amount else in terms of career prospects. And so yeah, just really, really pleased that I've kind of got a foot in the door at Spurs, and it's been really great working with the team. I've only been there a few months, and it's been lovely as well being part of a team again, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it's been really nice, kind of, just having that team element. Something that I think is probably the thing that I missed the most from playing hockey. Just being part of a team, and a sports team as well, I think is something a little bit special. And yeah, it's who knows where it can go, but I'm really excited for what's happening at the moment.
So what does your job entail exactly? What will you be really doing on a sort of day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so there's the kind of my role as the performance psychologist. There's, I guess, kind of two sides to it a little bit. There's the individual element, so working with players one-on-one and really trying to develop their mental skills and how they, all the kind of things I've spoken about already a little bit in terms of coping under pressure and scoring goals, and how they basically, get themselves into the right frame of mind, into the best frame of mind for them to be able to consistently produce their best performance over and over. So that kind of individual element, and then there's a kind of team cultural element of developing, the kind of collective team, and how they get the best out of themselves and also collectively. Obviously there's a big kind of integration and collaboration with the coaches and the coaching staff. It needs to be everyone doing it, in particularly both things, to be honest, the cultural and the individual element. But So at the moment it's more so the individual stuff. I do get out onto the grass, as the coaches say, and watch them train and try and figure out the little elements that I can maybe help with individually and collectively. But yeah, it's early days at the moment, but hopefully something that I can really get stuck into and develop in the future.
Oh, great. So you've said previously, obviously, about how you won gold, and specifically with regards to the team, how you had group meetings to sort of quickly sort out any issues that may arise, as well as speaking to a psychologist and sharing your sort of strengths and weaknesses with each other. Is that something you plan to sort of use with the Spurs women's team, or?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's basically a bigger kind of thing of trying to, for any team, it's not just sports, but any team, trying to understand what it is about that team, and what they want to be about, and how that then really drives the behaviours that they deliver and live by every single day. And some of the elements that we did in our daily kind of training environment, some of the meetings that we had, they all really took a long time to get to that point, to have the trust to be able to be that vulnerable with each other. But certainly those are the kinds of things, I've already had a little bit of a meeting with the team around their strengths, and just really touching on it. But it kind of, for sure, those are the types of conversations and the kind of environment that I want to help create at Spurs. And it will take time. These things don't happen overnight, which is why when they do, they are really special, because it's not easy to create stuff like that. And there has to be a kind of a want and a desire from those that are in the team to kind of make that happen as well. So, but yeah, for sure, I will definitely be bringing in those elements into the training environment when and if I can.
I suppose one of the big differences will be that with hockey, you're on this 4-year cycle. You're aiming towards this moment, this Olympics, and to win it, which you guys did. And obviously, it's going to be different with Spurs, because they're just having to perform week in, week out. There's not like tournaments as such. It's more day to day. So I imagine there's different way to deal with that, because it's being switched on all the time, really, isn't it? Sort of.
Yeah, there are different kind of pressures a little bit, in that you're right. They need to get results week in, week out. So it does change things a little bit in terms of, like, there's a weekly selection that is, the team kind of is obviously selected every week for the game at the weekend, whereas we would have selections periodically for for the tournaments, obviously, but also potential test matches and stuff like that. And so there is a little bit of a different element, but the basics of it still fits, in that there is pressure and people want to get selected. And for us, yes, it was a kind of 4-year Olympic cycle, but there were those tournaments every year, and there were like little selections that kind of still played a major part in how we were thinking as players. And selection for us was hanging over our head like every single day. That was the thing that was a constant. Every day that we went into training, we had to deliver, because we were being watched and scrutinized, and our performance was being analysed every single day, regardless of whether selection was in 3 weeks or in a year's time. Yeah. So it is a little bit different, and I'm learning about those things, and kind of in football. And obviously I played club myself, and having the pressure of having to perform every week with Leicester, when we were the winning titles and the best team in the country. And so I know what that feels like as well, and that's probably one of my biggest strengths that I've got at the moment, is that I'm able to relate with the players, which is a really nice thing to be able to have. But I'm figuring it out, what the differences are and how it makes the players feel and stuff like that. And it's very interesting. I love it.
Yeah, I mean the hockey selection for the Olympics is obviously sort of 18 players, isn't it? And you either sort of make it or you don't. And I know it was it would have been very tough for those that didn't. But I think you all did your very best to sort of make sure they were all part of that success, weren't they?
Yeah, and that was one of the probably the most successful things of our squad, was the fact that it was the whole squad of 31 women, and plus the management on top of that. The kind of being able to get the best out of everybody in our squad allowed us to win that gold medal. Like if we had just focused on the kind of a 20, we wouldn't have been able to be as good as we ended up being, because when you value every single contribution, everybody then feels part of it and is able to give their best. And if the kind of number 31 is giving their best, and they're pushing those people that are kind of number one. And so it really is crucial that everybody is valued and their contributions are valued, and just it helps for everybody to kind of bring their best.
Yeah, absolutely. So what will once everything gets back to normal, what will your sort of week look like with regards to sort of your current roles, and obviously FIFA, etc.?
Yeah, so my role with Spurs at the moment is just 1 day a week, so it's very part-time. Who knows what that might look like next season. I'm still the hockey coach at Cambridge City Hockey Club. Obviously, I've not had any coaching to do recently, which has been really disappointing. But I hope to, continue with that next season. And who knows what that will look like as well. I kind of like thinking the people that I had in my team this year, will they be there next year, and what will that look like? But I'm looking forward to getting back and doing that. So that will be a couple of a night's training and the match at the weekend, and then beyond that, it's looking after FIFA and kind of looking for other bits of work as well. Myself and Kate are also writing a book, so that should hopefully be out at the end of this year, which is very exciting. It's taken a lot of hard work, a lot of effort. It's taken us a long time to write it, but that's something that's also coming up as well, which is also another new thing, and we're looking forward to that being released as well.
Are you able to tell us what the book's about?
Well, it's about kind of a little bit of our stories, the career that we had, but mainly around team culture and the lessons that we learned, essentially, and kind of wrapping that around some of the stories that we have, and the experiences we've had along the way. And
have you wanted to do that for a while, or is this something that's sort of come from lockdown, or?
Yeah, no, it was definitely before lockdown. I remember saying, when I was struggling with my back actually in 2014, I remember having a conversation with our performance lifestyle advisor saying, I'd really love to write a book one day about, it was probably more about that experience that I was having and some of the things that I'd learned, and just wanting to share those, and if that kind of helped other people along the way, then great. And so it's kind of been in the back of my mind for a while, and then myself and Kate started talking about it, and eventually sat down and started to write some stuff, and it's been very hard, I must say. It's a very tough process, and so when it eventually comes out, I'll be very proud to finally have it.
So you're not working with a sort of writer or anything to put your ideas into a book, you and Kate, it's your words?
Yeah, 100%. We kind of toyed with the idea and were asked whether that's what we wanted to do, but we were very adamant that we wanted to write it ourselves. So that's why it's taken quite a long time. It's very interesting as well, because we're both very different. Well, we're both very different in our personalities anyway, but it kind of comes out in our writing, or how we write, should I say, because Kate's very much just tap, right away, and whereas I'm more thinking, okay, how how should I write this? And I'm much slower and more methodical, whereas Kate will just get everything down and then edit it later, whereas my kind of, once I've written it, that's it, it's done. So yeah, it's been an interesting process in that regard as well.
So are you collaborating on all of it, or are you doing you do that chapter, I'll do this chapter sort of thing? Is it how's it?
Yeah, it's kind of mixing throughout the chapters. Both of us have written in every chapter, so it's kind of broken up, and we'll see how it ends up in the end.
Well, that process must have been sort of quite rewarding with regards to the fact you're constantly sort of looking back on things as well.
Yeah, and it's really made us kind of, we're both pretty reflective anyway, particularly in more recent times. But it really has made us reflect more so on our experiences and how they made us feel. And I think naturally, after retiring and coming out of something that we both did for a very long time and gave absolutely everything to, I think there's always a natural element of, or a period of time of reflection, and it's kind of just sat in that space writing this book. And actually we started writing it a couple of years ago, and what it looks like now is a little bit different to what it looked like then. And so, if we'd written it straight after Rio, it would have been a completely different book to what it is now. So hopefully it's a bit of time has made it better.
and when can we expect that to be released?
Hopefully by the end of the year. But
Christmas presents.
potentially.
Sounds amazing.